Double McTwist, 1260. Shaun White, one more hit. Will it be enough? Frontside 12, perfect. That is the run that he needed, and he put it down.
I love the Olympics. I love the competition, the incredible feats of human athleticism. I love rooting for your home country. I love countries putting aside their differences, coming together and playing curling.
5 on the board for Team USA.
I'm also from Denver. Well, a little bit outside of Denver, but I was born and raised here. I got to see this view pretty much every single day of my life. Colorado has 1 billion ski resorts. Colorado is the winter sports state, so recently I've been wondering why the Winter Olympics have never been hosted here. The Winter X Games have been hosted here many times, so why not the Olympics? I think it would be awesome. Denver is a place that I really love, and it would be in the global spotlight for 2 weeks. And Colorado has nothing but the best facilities for winter sports. It is the perfect candidate for the Olympics. And that's exactly what planners of the 1976 Denver Winter Olympic candidate bid thought at the time. Denver actually won the Olympic bid in 1970, and it was going to be hosted here, but it never went through. So what happened? I first went to the Denver Public Library to find out. But before that, I interviewed Governor Dick Ladd. He was governor from 1975 to 1987. He was one of the longest serving governors in Colorado history. And as a Colorado representative at the time, he led the fight against hosting the Olympics.
I did not have any involvement in the bid, but the legislature had a resolution, let's say in '68, I believe it was, inviting the Olympics here. And I voted for it.
Nestled against the Great Rocky Mountain Range lies the city of Denver, United States candidate for host city to the 1976 Winter Olympic Games.
I was chair of the audit committee of the legislature. And even though I really had welcomed the Olympics, when I started looking at the costs to Colorado and the potential liability and the cost-benefit ratio, I started asking questions. And the more questions that I asked, the more dissatisfied I was.
The first primary problem for the Olympic Games when it comes to the ski industry was where to host them. They had sold Denver as a mountain town, and as you know, Denver is a ways from skiable terrain from the mountains anyway. You know, here's our modern interstate that will get you into the mountains, and look how they're compressing the photographs so that it looks like Denver is a mountain city. This is the famous photograph where it's an aerial shot, and the way that they angled it, it looks like the mountains are far closer to downtown than they actually are. I mean, this is several miles away.
The mountains set the scene here for recreation and for organized athletics at all times of year.
So the first problems were location. The IOC decided on hosting the biathlon, cross-country, and ski jumping events originally in the Indian Hills, but environmentalist protests forced them to switch these events to Evergreen, where it was also protested.
Nordic events will be held in the Evergreen area on Denver Mountain Park property, only 20 minutes from Denver. Nearby, also on park property, will be the bobsled and luge.
When the Olympic people published their bid and their where they were going to site their events, the Evergreen people and Indian Hills and things, they looked at this plan and they saw that the luge run was going to come right down amidst them, and that also it was in a place where there was very seldom snow.
Downhill skiing was a little bit more of a problem because you needed to have a mountain that was big enough to host a downhill event and had enough consistent snow to host slalom and the other events. They initially settled on a mountain called Mount Snicktow, which is adjacent to Loveland Ski Area.
Nearby Mount Snicktow, 4 miles closer to Denver on the same highway, is the site for the downhill races. These sites, virtually assured of ample snow and sunny weather, meet Olympic standards set by the International Ski Federation.
But after touring it, the FIS, the governing body of the Olympic ski committees, decided this is not going to work. It's too windblown, it's too exposed. It would have been just a horrible mountain for skiing. That decision sparked a number of other decisions trying to figure out where they wanted to go.
Eventually, organizers agreed to hold the ski events in Steamboat Springs, almost 156 miles from Denver.
Travel to Denver is further assisted by the 7 federal highways and 6 Class 1 railroads which serve the metropolitan area.
All day we've seen cars at a standstill because of multiple closures along I-70.
All sports sites west of Denver benefit from single road access via Interstate 70, a modern divided highway 4 to 6 lanes wide.
But to get to Steamboat, you either have to drive up Highway 40 over Berthoud Pass and Rabbiter's Pass, which were pretty remote at the time. And so the solution was that they were going to use vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, helicopters or some sort of newfangled jet. They were going to fly people there. And that probably would have been a bit ridiculous at the time.
In 1971, the United States and most of the world was already amidst a recession, and Denver knew that the expense was going to be an issue. But underestimating the cost it takes for a city to host the Olympics was not new, as the 1960 Squaw Valley Olympics in California was estimated to cost taxpayers $1 million, but ended up costing taxpayers $13.5 million. Colorado Representative Robert Jackson explained Coloradans could not afford to be taxed this harshly, unlike Squaw Valley, where there was a, quote, rich tax base. Colorado's lieutenant governor even admitted that the committee lied a little bit about the ability to afford the Olympics just so they could secure the bid.
Every time you turn around, the cost of the Olympics had doubled and doubled and doubled.
Looking at other Olympic Games, though, it was clear that these things were going to cost far more than what was estimated.
Montreal had $1 billion deficit for the Olympics. You do have to ask, were they deliberately understating the costs? And that may be. I don't want to write them an excuse, but I think that in their enthusiasm, they just took the most optimistic cost figures and they ran with them.
Already, nearly 80% of the facilities necessary to hold the 76 games are constructed and ready.
It wasn't even close to being true. You know, it was, when you look at what you need, then the question was, where were these various facilities? You know, the ice skating was supposedly in Denver, and the Olympic housing in Denver, and the ski jump in Steamboat Springs. And they were looking at Beaver Creek, that wasn't even in existence at the time. And when they started looking at the logistics, how are they going to get the athletes, the Olympic Committee people, and the public to go to all of these different sites on what was then and still is an inadequate road system, the devil was in the detail.
In 1972, a referendum was put forth on the ballot to create an amendment to Colorado's constitution that would ban the state from levying taxes or appropriating funds to help stage the 1976 Winter Olympics. Estimated at a 75% turnout with a 60-40 vote, Coloradans overwhelmingly voted for this amendment. The Denver Olympic Committee withdrew as a host city within a week of the vote. Denver remains as the only city to reject a host city bid. So, now what? Will Denver host another Olympics? Well, they've tried.
Denver will pursue a chance to host the Winter Olympics.
Supporters say Colorado is the obvious choice here with our world-class skiing and snowboarding.
U.S. Olympic Committee leaders are in Denver today to scope out our city for a 2030 Winter Olympics bid.
In 2012, Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper and Denver Mayor Michael Hancock created a committee for a 2022 run, and in late 2017, another committee was formed for a possible 2026 or 2030 bid. After eliminating a possible 2026 run, the committee decided to focus on 2030. The plan revealed that the 2030 Denver Games would almost be completely privately funded, and the Games would be hosted across the country with its base in Denver. However, in December, the U.S. Olympic Committee chose Salt Lake City as its focus for the 2030 Games, because most venues were already built from 2002, and the Salt Lake City Games were more widely supported than the Denver Games. If Denver were to ever hold the Olympics in the future, someone would have to create magical solutions to the distance and funding issues that the Denver Olympics cause. In any case, future leaders of Denver can learn from the disaster of 1976 and hopefully one day host a successful Denver Olympics.
The people that were promoting the Olympics were really good, civic-minded people. They weren't dishonest. They weren't going to personally profit from this. They really thought that they were doing the right thing for the state of Colorado. I still think the concept is good, but they're going to have to find some way to control the costs. The Olympics, I think if they're going to be salvaged, and I hope they are, because I think they are worthwhile, but they're going to have to find some way where they maybe have one site in America, one site in Asia, one site in Europe, or something like that, where they don't have to reproduce all of these expensive venues every 4 years.
But more than that, Denver wants to share its mountains, its competitive experience, and its facilities with all the world. Most of all, the people of Denver want to share a truly enriching experience at the 12th Winter Games. We hope we'll see you in '76.